Hello YouTube, it's Barbara Jean. I'm going to tell you about a series of dreams that I had 3 or 4 days ago. I think it's a couple of days ago now. And they were quite interesting. Um, I think the Lord is getting ready to do a work in His church, in His bride, of really revealing the deceptions that the church has been under. This is what this dream was really about, and I'm going to tell you what it was. The dream was, first of all, seemed like it was in a series of different steps, but I'm going to tell you the highlights, what I really remember really stood out. The first one was uh, it was like I was watching a movie, and this movie was on the television, and this movie was basically it was kind of like on the Knowledge Network. You know, I don't know if you have that in the States, but the Knowledge Network has this symbol, and it's a tree. you know, like the tree of knowledge or the tree of good and knowledge of good and evil. That's basically the symbol for this network. It's the Knowledge Network. But anyway, this movie was um, about Joseph, and it really was. When I was watching this, I was kind of watching it as though I was there, but I was also watching the movie on TV. So while this movie was going on, it was not really like a movie in a sense, like let's say it was a movie. Anyway, it was a movie, and I was watching this as they were trying to portray Joseph and the different things that he was doing in his life, and it was just so distorted. The story was distorted, and I knew it was distorted. And I'm thinking, what are they presenting this lies for, as though it was truth? And it was really disturbing to me. And in the middle of at the end of the movie, there was a scene of this Egyptian priest. And this priest was in an Egyptian temple, and it had hieroglyphs all the way down the this narrow passageway, this hall that this Egyptian priest was standing in, and it was full of demonic symbolism, and the message was all screwed up. It was not the Joseph story that I grew up with. Let's put it that way. But as this priest was at the end of this movie, and like I said, it was like I was in the movie but not in the movie. But as this priest at the end of the movie turned his back and started walking down the hallway away from me, I came up behind him and I pointed at him and I said, "Lies and deception, lies and deception, lies and deception." And I just was screaming basically at this priest in his back as I was screaming, "Lies and deception." The movie changed, or the whole scene changed. Then I was in a church, and a church building with pews, and there was people in the pews, and this preacher was standing up in the front, and he was preaching something, and I'm thinking to myself, something's wrong about what he's saying. It's not gospel. It's not the message of the Bible. It's not the truth. Something's wrong in his message. But I was standing away from the situation. I was watching the situation, but I wasn't really in the situation. And as I was watching this scene, the priest, he was a preacher standing up and preaching from the Bible, but I said it wasn't the correct word. It was distorted. It wasn't the correct gospel. This woman, and it was an older woman, she was sitting in one of the middle pews, suddenly stood up. Among the whole congregation, she stood up and she started screaming, "Lies and deception." First started as a whisper, and then she started screaming, "Lies and deception, lies and deception, lies and deception." And then she turned towards the back. The preacher had stopped his message, and the rest of the congregation kind of was like in shock when she did this. But then they all stood up and they turned to the back. And there was a group of people sitting in the last couple of pews of this church. And there was about a third of the church. And they all turned and they all started pointing their finger at this group of people. And they started saying, "Lies and deception, lies and deception." And even the preacher had stopped what he was doing, and he started to do the same thing. Lies and deception, lies and deception. Till this group of people stood up. And they turned around and walked out the door. Okay, so that was the end of that part of the dream. And then I found myself, I had this urgency to get home. I have to get home. So I was trying to get home, and there was all these road blocks, and was having a hard time getting home. But as I was getting closer to home, it looked like the block where I lived, and coming up the back alley, there seemed to be some kind of construction going on in my back alley, which I was thinking to myself, great, I'm trying to get home, and now they've got construction going on in my back alley, and I can't even get home now. So it was like these roadblocks. Someone was kind of stopping me from getting home. So anyway, I got closer to the situation, and I found out it wasn't really so much construction or road construction that was going on, but there was something else going on. And these wooden walls came up around me, so I couldn't even go anywhere. I couldn't go forward. I couldn't go sideways. I couldn't go back. And I wasn't alone. There was a small group of people with me. And this group of people, we were all stuck in this little cubicle, basically, trying to get out. And this woman came up beside me, and she and I started pushing this one wall and barrier in front of us to get out, to find out what was causing this blockage, why we couldn't get past this wooden wall that had come up in front of us. So we pushed it aside, and we only to find out that there was a movie set in front, that on this road in front of our home, there was a movie set, and there was a movie being filmed. And as this was going on, this woman beside me started making noise, and so the movie had to stop. The whole movie, crew just said, okay, well, we have to stop the production of this shot because someone's making noise over there, so we have to start over. And they were very annoyed by it. But while this happened, this woman, she was beside me, and all of a sudden this white light came around her, and I heard a voice, and it was saying to this woman, you are going to go, and you're going to go to every church and tell them about the lies and the deception. It was God telling this woman who was standing beside me that you're going to go into all the churches and you're going to expose lies and deception. And so it was like this whirlwind came around her and was getting ready to take her up to do her, so she can do her job. Now, what was interesting was turned around and I asked her name. I said, what is your name? Because for some reason I felt compelled. I had to know what this woman's name was that had caused this disruption in this movie set. And here she was getting ready. She was commissioned by the Lord to go into every church and basically expose the lies and deceptions. So I stopped her and I said, what is your name? And she said it to me, and I didn't hear it at first. So I said, what? What did you say? And she said, Pennilith. I said, what? She said, Marie Pennilith. Now, that was kind of funny. Okay, I'll tell you about that later. So anyway, I said, oh, okay. So she was taken up in this whirlwind and taken away. And then the head guy from the crew of this movie set came up to me. He was really mad. He said, you guys disrupted our movie, and you had no right to be making all this noise. We're doing this and that. What we're doing is important. And I turned around and I stuck my finger right in his face. And I said, you are disrupting us. You're the one who's disrupting the citizens of this city. You're keeping us from getting to our home. You're disrupting us. You're blocking us, and you have no right to do this. And I'm going to be talking to the mayor in City Hall, and we'll see who's get in trouble for all of this. Well, by the time I'd finished rebuking this man, he was so shamefaced. He looked so like, he felt really, I could see that he was like, oh. So I just went past him and started walking past all this set scenery, and I was looking around and seeing what was going on. And it was all this carnival silliness that was going on, and I walked past it thinking, oh, this is just such a distraction, and I was heading home as I was going through this set. Now, that was a very interesting long series of dreams, but they were very interesting. I think the Lord is getting ready to make a move to really expose the lies and deceptions in the church so that the bride can be completely ready for her bridegroom. What the first dream, I believe, was a symbol that Joseph maybe represented Christ, and how we had distorted the Bible by bringing in Babylonian pagan worship and images into God's word, and changed it to basically Satan has infiltrated the word and the churches, and his truth has been distorted with pagan beliefs. Okay? And so basically when I was pointing my finger at this priest as he was walking away, I was saying lies and deception, lies and deception, lies and deception. I said it at least 3 times to this priest, that I believe the pagan beliefs, the pagan infiltration will be exposed. Okay? Pretty profound. Then when I was in the church, the woman stood up and turned and said lies and deception. The whole church, their eyes were open to what was going on. The churches, you realize, people, how much Satan has infiltrated our churches with lies and Satanists and witches and New Agers. They have come into the church and changed the doctrine, turned it into milk, or just completely into something that the Lord never intended it to be, taking our eyes off Jesus Christ and his cross, and turned the gospel into something that is not the gospel of Jesus. Okay? And I think what's happening is that the bride is going to stand up. Is going to stand up in the churches and point their finger at what's wrong, and they're going to get the message. And I think this was a word from the Lord, that this is what the Lord's going to do. He's going to make a move, a mighty move in these last days, to wake up his church to the lies and the deception. Like I said, I think the whole church said it at least 7 or 8 times to this group of people, and who got up and walked out because they've been exposed. Okay? Then the next part of the dream, this woman named Marie Pennileth. I think at first I thought, is it a real person? Marie Pennileth? Is that a real person? And I don't think so. I don't think it's an actual person that was being commissioned by the Lord to go into every church. There's no time, and first of all, to do that. But I believe it's a spirit. And when I looked up the word Marie, the Hebrew meaning means long-awaited child, and or bitterness, or bitter. And let me just see if I could find it. Did I actually have it here? No, I guess I misplaced it. Anyway, I had actually the actual Hebrew meaning, and it does mean a long-awaited child. So Marie is the long-awaited child the Lord has been waiting to lift up and bring this spirit into his churches. And the Pennileth, I don't know whether it was a little joke on the Lord's part. This woman Pennileth, the last name Pennileth, must have been a spirit with a lisp. Maybe he was trying to say penniless. And when I've thought about penniless, what does that mean? Well, this is a spirit that's not going to be influenced by mammon. I looked up the word mammon, and it says mammon, wealth regarded as an evil influence or false object of worship and devotion. It was taken by medieval writers as the name of the devil of covetousness, and revived in this sense by Milton. Now I'm going to read a verse of the Bible for you. And this is from Luke chapter 16, starting at verse 11. No servant can serve 2 masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and mammon. So what I think this woman, her name was Marie Pennileth, was penniless. She has no mammon. The spirit has removed the mammon, the false doctrines, the covetousness, the lust for money, the lust for riches. This spirit does not lust for these things or covet after the things of the world. And the spirit will enter into the churches and expose these false doctrines that have caused the children of God to be hungering for money and riches, and following demons and men instead of God and Jesus Christ. So anyway, this is what the dream I feel was. And the part where I was standing up to this scene, to the movie guys, was the church saying, we're living in a time where we can't trust our media. We can't trust our media. We can't trust our news because they only give a partial truth. They don't give the whole truth, and nor are they're giving this sense that the world is fine, everything's great and wonderful. It's a distraction, and it's also deception because they are keeping us from being focused on what we need to be focused on, and that's going home and being with our Jesus. It's a lie. It's a distraction. So anyway, I'm going to leave that with you. It's gone on 15 minutes. So it was a very, very interesting set of dreams. And so I hope you get something from it. Just know that the Lord is coming. Keep your eyes on Jesus. Don't be distracted by the world or their lies or their distractions. So God bless you all, and put your trust in Jesus.